Hello. Uh, this video comes from a place of solemnity for me. I'm not real pleased that Microsoft backpedaled. I think this is going to be the last Xbox One E3 related video with all this mess, because I don't think there's anywhere else to go from here for either of these companies. And really, besides, enough's been said about it, but I find that it's ridiculous that Microsoft would backpedal. Like, it's so spineless. There's no integrity to their message or their dream. It is truly disappointing. I think that there's two pieces of irony that come from what has happened. The first being that, from what I've seen on the internet, your majority of complaints about the Xbox One were from either a used game standpoint or like that one time a day check-in standpoint. The best part is that a lot of people complained about the internet requirement over the internet. In fact, that's where all of the complaints were made. Did anybody hear about anybody writing Microsoft an angry letter? Did anybody call their state senator? Like, every single complaint was voiced over the internet. And here we are. How am I supposed to connect to the internet? You said as you typed it on Facebook or Twitter or a forum or said it on YouTube. Come on, are you serious? You can't connect to the internet for half a second a day. Literally, all you have to do is log in. Just log in. Boom, done. You're in. You could use your phone to tether to your console as a Wi-Fi hotspot. But no, it was too much for you. And you complained about it because you decided that if for some crazy reason, maybe a natural disaster occurred, you couldn't connect to the internet for a day and you couldn't play video games for a day, that it was just going to be mind-blowingly awful. Like, it completely invalidates everything I've ever done. Oh my, it's so ridiculous. And for the people who were concerned that one day they would shut off the servers and you wouldn't be able to play them, Microsoft came out and said, we would never do that. We would never take away your ability to play the games you purchased. If you got banned from Xbox Live, you could still play what you purchased. If they said it, and this is actually proof. The fact that they can flip a switch and turn this stuff off means that they had it planned in the future, that when the day came, however many years down the road that might be, that they were going to turn off the servers to Xbox One. Guess what? They'd have flipped the switch first. They'd have flipped the switch and said, guys, you can still play your games on this even if you're not connected to the internet. You guys have bullied them into ruining that. And the major implication from this is that the dream of having a Steam-like ecosystem on console gaming is dead. And the competition factor between consoles has been lessened excessively. Don't you want good competition? And not like competition like, oh, what am I going to wear today, black socks or white socks? I'm talking about like actual healthy competition. The differences between the Nintendo 64 and the original PlayStation were vast. The differences between the GameCube and the PlayStation 2 and Xbox were vast. And it bred a lot of healthy competition. It's one of the reasons that Nintendo is in the position it's in today, console-wise, but it's also one of the reasons that Nintendo is in the position it is today, handheld wise. They've dominated for years, and any newcomer that tries to do something new or awesome or one up Nintendo's just got it. They've got it. But there's always vast differences, one that makes one heavily outweigh the other. The reason that we have Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 fanboys butting heads all the time, and you can't think of one that's better than the other, is because there's not one that's better than the other. They're the same machine, except one looks like a fighter jet that can play games, and the other one is round-ish. They do the same things. I mean, sure, one can play The Last of Us and one can play Halo, but that's not enough of a difference to really warrant them being called different machines. Gladly would have paid a lot of money to see one of them do something different. PlayStation borrowed heavily from Microsoft's architecture. When Microsoft came out with Xbox Live and the Xbox was really great, the PlayStation 2 was a good system, don't get me wrong, but when the PlayStation 3 came along, they borrowed heavily from Microsoft, and it really turned the consoles into the same thing. It's just which online value would you rather have. The new generation was poised to have an unprecedented amount of competition between the systems. On the one hand, a console that heavily supports physical media and the ability to trade in used games and obeys the current status quo. And in the other hand, a console that is pushing the envelope, and it might require some restrictions from you. It might require that you concede a few things from the status quo. But ultimately, what they were hoping to deliver was a Steam platform on Xbox. And then you would have seen some real competition. Cloud computing, Kinect, and low-priced digital games on one system versus used games and limited PlayStation 3 backwards compatibility on the other system. It would have been interesting to see. I still think it's going to be very interesting to see how Kinect and cloud computing play into making Xbox games better than their PlayStation counterparts if they go that way. But the idea that we now lose family sharing and that we now lose that online check-in means that we're going to lose that Steam community. Means that we're going to lose the possibility of very, very lowered price digital sales on the box. Which is sad, because I was really looking forward to getting some sweet deals for that sucker. But it is also the reason that I have made my solemn vow to buy all games, whether they be PlayStation or Xbox, and yes, I do intend on getting both. I'm just adopting the Xbox first. Digital. I am going to buy every single game next generation digitally. Why? For starters, I don't want to give GameStop another freaking cent. Those guys suck. And bunch of freaking whiners that ruined the Xbox One's DRM policy. Just so what? You could trade in NCAA and get $12 for it? Congratulations. You're awesome. I'm sure that Xbox, given the opportunity to flesh out their ecosystem, would have come up with something better. They were already talking about sharing and trading licenses. There's no reason that there couldn't have been an online marketplace of buyers and sellers. People that would say, hey, if you have a license for this game, I will buy it from you, or I will trade you one of my game licenses for that one. And I'm sure it probably would have done okay. It would have made for an extremely interesting ecosystem to buy and sell games on, rather than taking it down to GameStop and watching those fools run away with publisher and developer money. It's choking the industry. It's not the sole reason that the industry is facing a lot of closures, but damn if it isn't contributing. And you had a console and a company ready to fight that. A lot of people called the Xbox anti-consumer, Microsoft anti-consumer. I will tell you what is anti-consumer. Bottlenecking the industry by cutting off its one revenue stream, which is the sale of new games. If you buy used, the publisher and the developer do not see money from this. And as a result, they are not able to invest as much money, or they might not be able to make more games because they might go broke. It's not all used games that's doing this. The economy is a factor as well, blah de blah, but it's contributing. Okay, it's part of what is weighing the industry down. And you know what that forces them to do? That forces them to say, you know what? I could make a brand new game with new ideas and really risk it out there on the market. I'll put a lot of money into making this game, see how it sells, or I can make Dead Space 4. Dead Space sells a lot of games. It's like a guaranteed win. You know what? I'm going to go for a numbered sequel. Why not? It's a guaranteed cash cow. You are bottlenecking the industry into first-person shooters and sports games. Gah! EA, if you don't like them, don't buy their games. No one's twisting your arm. But the Xbox, if you didn't like it, the PS4 is right there. The Wii U is right there. Why did you need to complain? Why did you change it? The idea that you couldn't connect on, I don't want the Xbox because it always needs to connect and my internet connection sucks. First off, if your internet connection is dropping out for more than 24 hours at a time, you got big problems. Or you're living in a place that doesn't have great internet, which means you're probably not watching this video right now. Just a thought. But anyway, if you complained about it, and you might have likened it to, and with the DRM policy, if I wanted to sell my microwave, I wouldn't need to pay someone a fee, or there's no licensing on my microwave. It's like, yeah, but there's not a strong secondhand market for those. A lot more people buy new ones than they do used ones. There's also more appliances that company sells. You get the idea. Games have one revenue stream, sale of new games. They need new games to be sold. And if you're living in an area that doesn't have internet, tough titties. Seriously, you wouldn't buy a refrigerator if you didn't have food. Would you? Nope. You wouldn't buy a television if you didn't have electricity. Would you? No. You wouldn't buy, I can't even think. You wouldn't buy a vacuum if all you had was dirt floors. You can never clean a dirt floor. Why would you buy a vacuum? Would you buy a machine that required an internet connection if you don't have internet? No. Why are you complaining? It is a luxury item. It's a luxury item. You are not entitled to it. Okay? If a movie comes out in Sweden and it's in Swedish and I'm not a good reader, do I sit there and badger the internet with, I wish that they would come out with this movie in English so I could understand it. Screw this, man. I'm not ever supporting this movie studio again until they come out with an English version of this movie that I want to see. No, because it's stupid. Okay? You can't always get your way, and the Xbox is a luxury item. If you can't afford it, tough. If you don't meet the requirements, tough. And that's what Microsoft was sort of strong-arming us into, but it was for the greater good of the industry. And it's really easy to be short-sighted about it now. But consider this before you fly off the handle about everything that I'm saying. We badgered a console and its vision into submission a month after learning its name. Not even. I mean, what? The reveal was on the 21st, and the reversal of policies was on the 19th. Less than a month, we badgered a console so hard that they reversed the policies on it and changed things around and have ruined a vision and decided to accept the status quo because we are too resistant to change. The thing is still 6 months from release. You have never played it yet. You don't even know what it's like to hold the controller in your hand, and you're already saying that it sucks. That's like saying somebody say, "Oh man, they're gonna make another Superman movie," and you're gonna be like, "Oh well, I mean, it's terrible." It is. You're saying it like it's fact, and you don't know because you haven't seen it. But the problem is that we've killed it already. We killed it before we ever gave it a chance. I mean, who knows what the picture would have been if the Xbox One had been released a year from now. I'm not saying that it would have all been sunshine and rainbows, but I'm saying that it could have been, and that it was important to give it a shot. We need healthy competition in the industry. Currently, the two things separating the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 are the Kinect and the cloud computing. There used to be more, and now there's less, because the gaming community at large has voiced in a resounding sound, we do not want change. We do not want there to be any differences in the industry. I do not care that the industry is stagnant. I do not care that studios are closing, as long as I get to keep that $5 in my pocket and I can buy it used. And just in case a tornado rolls into town, I want to be able to play my games for the 2 days that I would have been without internet. That's what you said. I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt that I have moved 4 times in the last 10 years, and I have never been a day without internet. Not one. Maybe it's because I avoided a few hurricanes in my moves, and maybe it's because I've gotten lucky. But I've always had internet. Always. And even if it had gone down, it would have been a day, 2 days, tops. Come on, like, how crazy are you that you can't stop playing games for a day or two while things get sorted out? Like, first off, if something happened like that in your area, I mean, clearly you probably got bigger problems. Oh, this is going on a long time. I'm just so saddened by it. I'm not completely, like angry or anything like that. It's just that I was ready to let Microsoft. I had my mind open to them, and I said, here's a company that's doing something different, and they're doing something strange, and it's new, and it's unfamiliar, and it seems a little odd. But clearly, they have a vision in mind. This is Microsoft we're talking about. This is a company that dominates the personal computer industry, exploded onto the gaming scene, and succeeded heavily. This is not a company that has poor business sense. These guys know what they're doing. And we, as a collective and uninformed mass, uniformly says, "Shut up, Microsoft. That's stupid." You don't think they know what they're doing? Sony is pandering to its fans. It's using a lot of double talk. It's shady. Microsoft was upfront about it because they wanted to let us know this is the way things are going to be. We know it seems like it sucks, but trust us. This will be good. And the gaming collective said, no, there is no trust. If I cannot go to GameStop and trade in NCAA for $4, then my mind will explode. Again, this is the last video on any of this nonsense. I'm still getting my Xbox. I think it's funny, the collective sigh of relief that the gaming community had when they reviewed they're like, oh man, Thank God they did that, because I really wanted the Xbox, and Titanfall looked really cool. But I was just so angry on the internet that it would have been really hypocritical of me to go out and buy one after seeing Titanfall. But now that they've reversed their policies, I can pretend like I'm less bothered now, and I can go get the console without shame. Thank you, Xbox Oneers who jumped ship and came back. You bandwagoners. Thank you for giving me a jolly chuckle out of the whole ordeal. I guess if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. But it's a bad taste in my mouth. It's not cool. They should have stuck to their guns, and they didn't. And I know that I am in a very, very sort of minority perspective in thinking this, but they should have stuck to their guns and done it, because I really believe that it could have been great. And I'm hoping that one day they push forward and manage to re-implement these policies, or at least get this ecosystem off the ground. There's no reason there couldn't be an opt-in. Microsoft, I opt in. Give me my always online. Give me my no used games. But give me that ecosystem that you want. Make it an Xbox Platinum. Xbox Gold subscribers can play online. Xbox Platinum members elect to be always online and not do used games, but they get a special store, a digital store where everything is cheaper and wonderful, and all you have to do is say, yes, I will accept your policies. If they did that, I guarantee you within a year, there would be no questions asked. Everybody would opt in. Everybody. You whiners, Max Rav, I'm looking at you.